So you recently introduced the Protect Our Prairies Act. So what does it do and why is it important?
Well, it's a great bill. Everybody should vote for it. We're hoping that what it essentially does is it treats our native prairie in a special manner to where it reduces the crop insurance coverage for the first 4 years that it's farmed. It will encourage producers to really recognize that it is special land, hopefully keep more land in grass, and also save our taxpayers about $200 million if it's implemented nationwide.
Yeah, it's a smart bill, and I'm grateful for the Congresswoman. Both of us, we share very similar geography out there, and while our producers are great stewards of the land, we also we share that land with our sportsmen and making sure that we have those resources available. And I think this is just smart, saves money, allows our producers to make the choices on their own land, but also recognizes that need to preserve it for future generations.
I love working with Tim just because he's got such a common sense approach, which I like too. In South Dakota, agriculture is our #1 industry, but hunting is a big part of our heritage. I'm an average hunter, I'm sure you are as well. And so we recognize that we've got to have habitat to keep that wildlife safe and make them thrive and encourage the kind of participation in hunting that we all grew up with.
But agriculture and wildlife recreation are big contributors to both your states. How can the two interests complement each other?
Our producers out there have known a long time. They're great stewards of the land, and it's not as you sometimes see in politics of trying to find out how do you complement production agriculture with conservation. They go hand in hand. Our folks know that, and what we want to make sure is that the policies enhance their ability to do that. And so we've got folks that understand they need to make a living for their families off the land, but they also understand that there's a shared heritage here, and making sure that we keep prairie potholes and some of these native prairies available for cover and for hunting habitat. It benefits everyone. So I think the thing that this bill shows and what Representative Noem's people have shown, and I think in Minnesota, is that it's not an either-or proposition, that you can have production agriculture, you can have folks working the land, but you can also do it in a manner that allows folks to continue to hunt.
Yeah, you know, some of our best conservationists are farmers and ranchers. And so this helps them get that message out, that they care about the land, they care about hunting as well with their kids and grandkids. And it's something we can talk about, draw attention to through policy that gets people who maybe don't live on the land to really recognize how important it is and that somebody bears the cost for that habitat. That a lot of times it's private landowners that are making a decision to protect that land to make sure that our deer, pheasants, and wildlife can thrive.
So what does the future of the Farm Bill hold this year?
Well, we're going to pass a 5-year bill, I believe. That's what we're committed to. We've been working on that for a long time and pushing our leadership team to get that done. That's the only way we're going to get certainty in policy. And whether it's with ag policy or conservation policy, it's critically important in this day and age that we live.
Yeah, and I agree. And Congresswoman Noem has been a great advocate for this. It takes folks who are out in the country where we're feeding the country, feeding the world, to take a strong voice. The Congresswoman's a producer herself, understands that getting that certainty in the bill, saving money, which the bill did, but also understanding that there has to be policies in place. If we're going to ask someone who makes their living off the land to set aside land, whether it's CRP or wetlands, WRP, those types of programs, if you're going to do those things, we need to make sure that there's a commitment by all of us to invest in that. And I think that Farm Bill will do that. I think we wrote a good one, and this was very bipartisan. And it ties all these things together. You can't farm in a vacuum. It's all part of a bigger process, and that's what the Farm Bill does.
And that's what this bill does, is to help show a more complete picture of what's really included in the Farm Bill and why all those pieces are so critically important. A Farm Bill isn't just a food title or a nutrition title. It's not just a commodity title. It has conservation and forestry. And this bill really brings some balance to that I think everybody can get behind and support.
So what can your constituents do to help move these bills forward in the House of Representatives?
Well, it's the usual, and don't underestimate it. Call their representative and talk to them about this. It's a common sense bill. As the Congresswoman said, it saves $200 million. It protects some of these critical habitats. It allows people to continue to produce on their land. It's just the right thing to do. And if they call their member, make the case to them, we think we can get them to sign on. And the more people we get, you finally get that momentum. And here in the House, if you get 218, you get a chance to get her to the floor.
There are a lot of people that don't live in rural areas, that don't know much about this bill, but they enjoy hunting, or they enjoy going and enjoying the prairie and the prairie pothole region of this country. They have a representative that's going to get a vote at some point on the Farm Bill and on the Protect Our Prairies Act.
That's right.
Boy, call them. It doesn't take very many phone calls into an office to really convince them that this is an important issue. So if you've never made a phone call before, this is an important one and one that's certainly worth their time.
So what do your constituents need to know about you and your positions for sportsmen and women?
Well, we certainly don't just talk about policy.
Right.
We walk the walk with them every day. I mean, this is our lives. This is important to us. I guess we put the passion into the bill because we really know what it's like out on the prairie. We know what it's like to live amongst the land and recognize that it's a special thing. God isn't making any more land. And that's why it's important that we take care of it and are really good stewards of it through policy.
And I would agree, and I think it's not theoretical for us. It's how we grew up. We lived in these towns, and our rural areas are not just undeveloped urban areas. These are unique places to live that people choose to be there, and I think it's important. And I think what Congresswoman Noem and myself are doing is making this case that it's not a false choice of either or. You can have agriculture, you can have outdoor activities with sportsmen, and you can do it in a manner that is smart for the taxpayers. And so I think it's important for them to know that we listen to organizations like Ducks Unlimited. We listen to these people because they're living it, they're out there, and when they come and talk with the expertise, it's our job to figure out how to make policy that can work. And I think this is a case of a very smart bill that has great support around, and now we need to get it into law.
And it saves money, which is obviously a big topic of
That's right.
conversation these days as well.